Hello class, this is Clipper Miller and I wanted to talk to you today about tasers and stun guns. I've been a police officer for over 16 years now and I'm always fascinated to see how much misinformation there is out there about tasers and stun guns. And so I wanted to debunk some of those myths with you and then give you a little bit of information about what tasers really do. First, the myth that I see the most often is the one that we see in television and movies when somebody has a stun gun used on them, that they convulse and that they lose consciousness. That is absolutely not the case. A taser does, or a stun gun does, deliver an electrical shock. However, a person that's being subjected to that does not ever lose consciousness, and they regain their capacities as soon as that electrical shock is removed. Taser was introduced by a company called Taser International. They've released a taser in over 100 different countries. They report 4.5 million uses, and that is training uses and field uses as well. Their website on their press page talks about the effectiveness of the taser, and they claim that 148,000 times the taser has been used in a situation that either prevented the death or serious injury of one of the people that's involved. And that's a significant number. The Department of Justice also did a study in May of 2011, and they found three significant things that I wanted to talk to you about. One of them is that when departments issued and the officers started carrying tasers, those departments saw a drastic reduction in the number of assaults against police officers. Not surprisingly, they found that the number of injuries to officers was reduced. One fact that it was surprising to me is that they showed up to 70% decrease in suspect injuries due to the use of the taser. So over 99% of the people who have had a taser deployed on them report no injury or no significant injury. The most common injuries associated with the taser are puncture wounds from where probes penetrate the skin and bruises or abrasions due to a fall. And we'll talk about that in a moment. There's two common ways that taser is used. The most common that you're probably familiar with is the stun or the drive stun method. This is what you see in television when a device is placed directly on a person's body and it delivers a shock. Those are very short-lived effects, and it only delivers a painful shock to the very site where the person was contacted. The more effective method is the probe deployment mode. Most people are not aware that taser has cartridges in it, and inside those cartridges are two probes. The probes are metal. They look like fish hooks that have been straightened out, and they have a barb on the end of it. The barb is designed to catch in a person's clothing so that it allows contact between the probe and the suspect's skin. That probe has an electrical wire that remains attached to it and also remains attached to the taser. Those wires can be up to 25 feet long, and it's the battery in the taser that delivers the shock of up to 50,000 volts. The purpose of deploying the probes is that when that electrical shock happens, that causes all of the person's muscles in between the probes to contract, and that's why we often see people fall. As I mentioned before, a common injury is due to the probe actually penetrating the skin, which can happen. Another common injury is due to the fact that people's muscles contract and they fall to the ground. They sometimes sustain those bruises and abrasions from the fall. Some devices allow for an additional cartridge so that you have an additional set of probes in case you miss with the first. And what a lot of people don't know is that it's a 5-second default. In other words, when you pull the trigger on a taser, it delivers the electrical shock for 5 seconds and then it stops. We train officers to try to place handcuffs on somebody before that shock expires. And it's all geared towards trying to control a suspect's movements. So these are very highly advanced technological devices. They have USB ports, and they actually track the dates and times and number of exposures that an officer has subjected somebody to. They become a very effective tool for law enforcement. They help augment the safety of officers and suspects. And so I hope that you learned something today. Enjoyed talking to you. You guys have a great day. Thank you.